In today's video, I'm going to attempt to take this piece of old walnut, dig out some old rusty screws, refine the live edge, take on the tedious task of creating inlays, do some very unconventional planing, and somehow end up here. So I got a call one morning from my uncle, who is a master carpenter and master woodworker. He told me, come over here and see if you want some of this wood we're about to throw out. And one piece he pointed out was this big black, old, dusty, junky looking piece of wood. And I said, what's that? And he said, well, that's just an old piece of walnut. It's been a bench in our shop and somebody else's shop, and it's just kind of a mess. You're welcome to it. So I, of course, lit right up and said, oh yeah, I'll take that.
What I'm going to do is drill a little hole in the next to each of them. Go straight down and pop them out. We'll just have to fill it. There's two. So I'll flip it over and there she is. You can see how far off I was on that bit. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Took a lot of wood with it. You tell the distinct difference between the sapwood, which is this very blonde stuff, and then you get into the heartwood. Much darker. Much darker. Might note that, you know, I love the character of these old pieces, and with epoxy you can resurrect these things and make them really function, but this is a bench at the end of the bed. I don't know that I need the epoxy finish or that finish out to have it serve as, you know, that purpose. And I don't do epoxy, I've never done epoxy, so I'm apprehensive about starting it, you know. And do not filler on these guys or inlay them with a maple dowel, something that's contrasty. That might be more interesting than epoxy or not filler, I don't know yet. Kind of comes down to what am I going to be able to do and what do I have time to do. I would like it all to be this color here. Just that blonder, lighter color. Get some of this dark wood out. 1 7/8, 1 3/8. I do not want that to be the thinnest. All right, it's time to make some decisions. One decision I did make is this low spot. I'm just going to sand it and bring it as true as I can. The legs will probably sit in here anyway. So, because I really don't want to lose any more material. I want this thing to be heavy. So this is the underside. That's good. That's the top side. But I think I'm going to sand it. I'm going to sand my edges. I would say my first time doing inlays was not the best experience. I had watched it before, but I really wish I'd gone back and watched Cam Anderson on Blacktail Studio give his little tutorial video on how to do that. Nice light passes. You can see here, I am not doing that. I'm trying to push down really hard to get one cut. And so my technique is not great and it cost me a little bit. The hogging out with the router worked out pretty good. I'd say that was successful, but then I got into the chiseling and quite frankly, that's where I need some work too. I need better chisels. These are brand new from Harbor Freight, but they still had a burr in them. You can see there's a little bit of tear out there, and those tiny little gaps caused me a lot of problems later. Case in point being right here, you'll see that it fits in way too easily. There shouldn't be that little gap on the far right side there. Some gaps were better than others, but the fact of the matter is, yeah, those do cause me problems later down the road. And they need to be a tight fit. You need to chamfer the bottom of the biscuit or the inlay itself to fit in there.
That gap right there on the right, again, way too much, and it's just hard to fill in and make it look like it's a good natural fit. I'll work on it. That's something I'll improve. It's something that it's just technique and it's understanding, and those are the sort of things that I'm doing here, and that's the school. I thought I'd better check in now and kind of give an update as to where we are in the process. You saw me do the inlays for the cracks. I also did inlays, small 1 1/4 inch squares where the screws were. I did that off camera, just so I could focus on that. My inlay work needs some work. So I'm gonna have to go in and fill with glue and walnut dust on those cracks. So next, I have a hand plane. I'm not good with it. And since this is a really hard, it's either white oak or maple. I can't tell, to be honest with you. So I don't have a good way to take these down to a sandable height, all these inlays. So what I'm gonna have to do is hook up the router jig again and try to get these just barely proud of the main surface, and then we'll sand the rest. So that's the plan right now. All right, so for the sanding, one thing I want to try to be real careful of is I don't want to create wells where I'm sanding these down, at least as much as possible. So I'll probably have to go over it to just try to even out and refine this a little bit. But again, I just want to get these down to the level or as close to that as possible. Well, it went. Some are better than others. Some of it, the glue and the sawdust didn't really fill the gaps. Some of the gaps look great, others look terrible. This one's pretty good, one's okay. These are not great. So I don't know what to do. I should probably try the CA glue, but I don't have any. And I'm not really keen on doing it on something like this. I may just use the knot filler and go in here and try to tidy these up a little bit. But you know what? Go to school on the first one. You can watch it on YouTube 1,000 times until you've done it. I got to get better with the marking mask. I've got to learn to use a hand plane. And I got to get better about chiseling those edges out. I was a little hesitant to use hairpin legs. I feel like they're kind of cliched and the lowest common denominator. However, there are 2 pieces in this bedroom that already have hairpins. Ultimately, it's what I could make work when all is said and done. They do allow the piece, the wood, to stand out completely on their own, and I think that ended up being kind of a benefit. You'll see when I get them on there, they look pretty good. On the finish, I ended up doing ultimately 3 coats. And that was just to try to, the wood was so dry, it was soaking so much of it up. 3 coats got me to the sheen and the even temperament of the wood, both top and bottom, and turned out pretty good. The character of the wood in a piece like this is not only its figuring and the grain, but it's also its history. A lot of it has to do with, where did it come from? What's it seen? I don't know a lot of that. The old saw marks, the original mill marks, are really appealing to me, and so I didn't want to lose that necessarily. I didn't want it to be the main feature, but, it's an obvious thing that would, I think, take away from it if I removed it. So the piece as a whole is a little bit of history and hopefully a much longer history with my family and, ultimately what I think is going to be a nice heirloom piece. With all the flattening, chiseling, sanding, staining, more sanding, inlays, it was a lot of work. I think it paid off. I'm super happy with it. I hope my wife will be happy with it. I know she will be. Happy birthday, Jennifer.